It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart Brunchine.
It's the Chief from the Dice Tower, and today we're talking about the actual Birthing of America series from Academy Games. I've done a review on 1812. If you haven't watched it, go do so now. All right, pause this, start that one up on YouTube, go check it out. Great series. Basically, both of these are bringing you an innovative kind of dice mechanic that removes, there's no charts. It's a Euro feeling war game, and I mean that. So we're going to be talking about 1775 that just came out. Obviously, Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. Okay. They're very, very closely related. If you know how to play one, you can play the other. If you haven't played the other one, it doesn't matter. The rules here will cover this just fine. And I'll touch on one thing before we go deeper into this. I would say 1812, although I'm going to show you all the mechanics, is more about maneuver. And I will say 1775 is slightly more about combat. Now, they both have each, okay? But the way you throw your units into the mix here, you're just in each other's face faster. It's easier to pivot and move and hit somebody in another colony rather than kind of the movement setups I felt I had to do in 1812. Now, I like both, but that is the difference that I want to put out right up front. So you're not getting just a, hey, we ported 1812 over here to 1775. By the way, the guys whose name is on the box are Bo Beckett and Jeff Stahl. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Great job, guys. Let's go in and we'll take a closer look at these mechanics, and then I'll wrap up a little bit. But I wanted you to know right from the get-go, they're not carbon copies of each other. 1775, I want to kind of give you a little tour de force here. Beautiful, beautiful maps. Academy Games is really known for their high-level components and production values. I mean, just take a look at these colonies. This map is nice. The artwork's wonderful. Speaking of artwork, let me bring this in. Steve Pichal is like the cover artist for Academy Games, and his oil on canvas is just phenomenal. This, I'm sure, is a exact historical scene. I don't know which one, but the way he paints, and I won't gush too much, but it has a level of movement. You know, the red coats in the back there, they're not perfectly clear to you. It's not like I'm looking at a photograph or even a portrait. It has the feeling of movement. You know, the dogs have sensed that there's some rebels apparently in the tree line, and bam, the guy's just popped out and he's getting ready to drop the officer that's atop the horse out. And I'm just telling you, his artwork, I just love it. So sorry. While we're on that though, let me gush some more. The thought given to the tray design in here. Now, the only problem I'm having, and I'm sure someone out there will help me, is when I get the board on here, if I tip this, if I tip it, all my little cubes fall out into other different areas. But look how this is designed. So you've got your armies here. You've got a little tray for your dice. We'll go into those later. This can actually, it's perforated. So if I wanted to, I don't want to at this point in time, but I could break these and I could hand these out to the individual players, and they can literally just reach into their armies as they need them. Now, I actually like keeping it as is, so I'm not going to break these out. But everything is so nicely thought out and designed. It's just a little bonus. At the beginning of a turn or a round, all right, we're going to decide blindly who's going to be going in what order. So this is going to be the American Continental Army, the regulars. They're going to get to go. They're going to be able to select 4 of their army cubes out of the tray here. They're going to be able to place them into a territory or one of the colonies that they have control. So if I've got Connecticut under control here, and I'm sorry I'm not zoomed in, but I'm not going to zoom in and out. There's Hartford here, it's a city. I could put all 4 of them right in there if I wanted. If I wanted to spread them out and I have control of Massachusetts, then I could put them into Boston. And so you can already see this control factor on where I'm going to put my troops out, and the fact that they're going to be going into these towns is going to lead to some battle of the different regions. And I'll zoom in, but there's little dotted lines that segment these little colonies out. And you've got to control them if you want to be putting resources into those different colonies, and that's where the tug of war happens. So just real quick on this phase, blue, or the Continental Army. Now you could play this with 2 players where I'm handling both the militia and the Continental Army regulars, and another player's handling the British regulars and then the American loyalists. Or we could actually do this as a 4-person game, and you kind of move with the other player's consent. So you're simply going to determine blindly the turn order, and this would be the British regulars, so they're going to do all their movement and their actions. If you do have a militia that is drawn, there's a very good chance, this is the fled units area, that there's been some units that have fled, militia units, that have fled in prior battles. I believe there is a chance for the Continental Army to have some fled units as well. You would collect those units, you get your 4 other cubes, and then you're simply going to place them on the map. Now after you've placed them, you're going to be looking at a hand of cards, and the cards are very, very interesting. This is perfect one to show you. You're going to have movement cards. Movement cards, this simply means you can move 2 different armies 2 spaces on the map. So I'm going to have, it doesn't matter how large it is, as long as they're all in the same location, I can pick them up and move 2. I can't drop off or pick up along the way, but I'll be moving 2 armies in up to 2 locations. You'll see the same thing here, but now I can only move 1. Then you've got these great event cards. So Benjamin Franklin, add 4 French units. So now I'm going to be able to bring on some purple units and their dice for attack into Savannah, Georgia, even if enemy occupied. So now you're getting some of this historical flavor text, and it's going to allow me to bring in these purple units here. These are the Haitians, hello, German mercenaries, who doesn't want some, or your French armies, okay? So you're gonna be able to bring them in. These event cards are just awesome. You've got Montgomery, an army in one area that won a battle may move to an adjacent area. This may result in another battle, and you'll go in and play in the battle phase. So you're going to have, you know, a George Washington card. Move 1 more army than the number depicted on the turn's movement card. He's great at his movement. This card cannot be played with a warship movement. There's warships in here that can allow you to move from one colony that's got water or ocean access of the same type to another one. So we're going to do a little battle phase here. Let's just say, and I'm going to put them right out in the ocean so you know what's going on here. So we're going to have, like so, that's a British regular and loyalist British militia. We're going to have some American militia. Let's throw a bunch more in there. Boom. And let's just give them a couple little regular guys. So these guys are going to clash. So the first thing you do is you look at your dice level. Well, I've got 3 loyalists, so I can use all up to my 3 dice, and I'm going to show you what the dice icons are in a second. I've got 2 regular British, so I'm going to get to use both of these regular dice here. And I've got a similar deal going with my American and with my militia. And I'm going to show you. So this is runaway. If I roll this, I have to take one of my militia and just move them to the fled area on the map, which is down in here, and they're not going to be of any use to me. They almost might have been defeated, but I will get them back as a resource later. This means I've killed off one of the other player's cubes. And you can see on here, his chances of hitting are not very good. They're equal to his chances of running. And then these blank sides are like called command phases or whatever, and this allows me to basically retreat a unit, or not necessarily retreat, but move a unit to an adjacent colony. It can't be occupied or anything like that, but I can move in. It allows for some little subtle movements to occur. Now, as units get killed off, I can run into a problem, or if I even have more redcoats, more regular British Army, I may have 4 units there, but I still only have a maximum of 2 dice. And I'm always going to have some more militia running around, but they're just not as reliable. Again, look at my Brits. I've got all these hit dice. All right, I believe it's 50-50 if I remember right. There's absolutely no fleeing going on here at all. So they're not going to run, and they're going to give me a 50-50 shot of hitting. So you're able to get this thematic, true-to-life feeling, all done with dice, simply rolled. You can quickly tell what results you have. You subtract off the units. You know, defender always rolls first. The attacker then has to get rid of whatever units were lost. The attacker rolls, and it goes back and forth until one of the 2 armies is eliminated. Combat. At that point, you refill your cards up. You're always going to have 3 cards in your hand, and that player's turn is over. All right, I wanted to go handheld on a couple things just to kind of show you some of what I'm talking about. So here's the city of Boston. So if I controlled this colony, I could literally bring my reserves as I get them, or my reinforcements, and I could drop them right into Boston if this was already controlled by the Continental Army. All right. If it's split or in contention, I wouldn't be able to do that. I might have to come into Portsmouth or do something else. So your locations and actually controlling a colony is huge. Delaware, or I'm sorry, Rhode Island, very small colony, and it's got its little Newport City. It's only one space. You can see these dotted lines that separate Connecticut. And then you've got Pennsylvania, these big areas. And as you're seeing these little spots here, printed right on the map is the setup on where the armies are going to be set up at the beginning of the game. So you're going to start with troops already on the board. Here you're going to have some Native Americans. Native Americans could fight for either side. If I can move my units in and I occupy this space, they will now move with my army, and they bring dice as well, upping my chances of winning in a fight. Now, they do some hitting and they do some running, but you can see the strategic value, and it works the same. If the British were able to get in here first, they'll come over and fight on their side. So you've got a pre-set up map that sets the armies out on the board, and then you get some option on where you want to put your reserves when you begin the game, and then it's all about fighting for territory and deciding how you're going to get your reinforcements in place and not losing, you know, colonies that are strategic to you based on how close you can get your reinforcements. Very, very well done, fast, accessible war game. And it's like a Euro. All right, I love this, and here's why. One, it can handle a lot of different players lightly, but the game's light anyway. This is definitely not a heavy war game, nor is it a heavy Euro. So you're gonna have a light game on your hands here, but it's direct conflict. And I still like it 2-on-2, but it definitely handles more than that well. I mean, you can really parse out, you know, militia troops, and one guy's rolling for those, and another person or another gal's playing British regulars. So that's fine. I like that part of it. But what I really, really love on the aspect is that you're moving an army, and that army is a joint coalition of militia and regular units, and they're going to clash. The clashing feels like armies clashing. There's not a lot of swings. If you bring in a lot of power and you're hitting somebody that's weak in an area, you're going to steamroll them. I mean, they may get 1 or 2 rolls on you, but they're not, you know, they don't really have a shot. Second of all, when you're in that battle, if you guys have seen Patriot, all right, with Mel Gibson, you know, aim small, miss small, he tells his boys to shoot, he's going down to save his other son, who's an American regular, and then he goes all hatchet crazy, Braveheart, you know, make the one kid like freak out because my dad's a killer. That's kind of what these combats feel like. The dice are quick. You're fighting armies that are very different, that are all mixed together. Well, you know, one army, but units. Yet the dice rolled does everything you need to do. Some militia run. My regulars are a little more hardened, more chance to hit, but I don't have as many dice, even if I have a lot of regular units there. So I'm encouraged to mix them. And while they're mixed and we're rolling off, the attacker, all right, I believe defender rolls, hits, bam, I'm rolling. Units are pulling off. Command decisions, hey, I'm going to retreat this guy back. Boom, you roll again. And it is like that tomahawk knife fight, but you're doing it with armies, and it's in and out. If you're fighting 3 different army groups, this isn't going to take even 5 minutes. Your attacks will all be resolved. I mean, we're talking a couple minutes. And it feels like this Mel Gibson tomahawk fight. But you're doing it with armies, and it still maintains that feel. That's amazing to me. I don't know how you do that. This is one of the games where, conceptually, when I saw what it was with what these dice were and the colored dice and how they're associated to their army and how there's no charts and it's all kind of done with the roll, genius. This should get a lot more attention for what it is. I mean, I know it gets some, but it's great. That concept is very novel. I know there's rolling of dice, but the way it's done here, and the way Native Americans are worked in and how you can win them over to your side. It's thematic, it's true to life and history without it getting wonky. And yet there's this element added in on how they do the dice. This seems very novel to me. I mean, this is new. I haven't seen this. Maybe it's been around. Maybe I've missed it in some other game that's there, the way they came up with the dice. But even if they're not the ones that created that type of system, and I know they're probably not, you guys will let me know. The way it fits with this is perfect. Now, again, the only thing that I hear at all is there's some heavy war gamers that it's just too light for them. But there's those out there that just love gaming that are also happen to be war gamers. This is so accessible, and it's a war game. It is. So, I think I just dumped half my little cubes. Sorry. All right, go out and take a look. Either one of these is good. So I think I like this one better. One, I'm way more familiar with 1775 and the Revolution. You're seeing Philadelphia. The fact that if you control that colony, you can put your units right into a city area. It feels like I can drop my units in and get them into action or pivot and switch my strategy much quicker than I could in 1812. But I like 1812. So I like them both. All right, Chief, see you guys. Bye. God almighty.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.